Action! Hey everybody, welcome back to Chicago Reacts Movies and TV. My name is Michael. I'm an actor here in the city of Chicago, and I'm joined by the ever-brilliant, the always talented, the one, the only.
It's Zach, also an actor here in Chicago, soon to be worldwide, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. What are we watching today, Michael?
The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
It's it's inevitable. I think a lot of people may or may not have seen this one coming. Full disclosure for me, growing up as a kid, this was my favorite one. This one was my favorite.
Well, yeah. I mean, I watched
mainly because of Helm's Deep.
Yeah,
mainly because of Helm's Deep.
It was pretty good. I did like Return of the King too, but I would say Two Towers for the longest time was my favorite. Yeah, so I'm really excited for this. Part of the reason we're watching this, we're both actors, and this is the series, this trilogy of films encouraged us both to pursue acting. So that's why we're checking this out.
Yeah, this is also the extended. Full disclosure, this is the extended. And we did watch The Fellowship of the Ring. If you missed that one, go check that one out. But this one I'm more distant from. It's been a longer time since I've seen it. So like the extended scenes versus the not, I don't think I'm gonna have as easy of a time.
Yeah, I've watched the cinematic release more, so I think I'll be able to pick them out. But we'll see. Hey, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything else, and leave a comment in that comment section down below. Is there anything else you want us to watch? Maybe anything else in the fantasy genre? Maybe
like Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Maybe.
That one might happen regardless. Also, hey, go check us out on Twitch. We should be live within a little bit of time, like a couple hours after this drops.
Every day we're live on Twitch from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So definitely come join us there. It's a lot of fun. We do a lot of gaming, a lot of chit chat. It's a fun time. So come check us out there. And we do have some drinks, full disclosure as well. We have some beverages and some chips off to the side. So
go get your snacks right now. Yeah. So you can settle down with us.
And I think it's time. I remember I watched this one in the theaters right away.
I think I did too. I think I was pretty young for the first one.
I didn't see the first one in theaters. Yeah. This was the first one that I saw with my neighbor and my dad, and the theater was so packed we had to literally sit in the front row of seats for this one. Dang. The very front row. So freaking
I went to go see with my dad and my sister. It still would have been good.
Yeah. Oh, it was still amazing. Still amazing. So but yeah, let us know your first Two Towers memory. Really interesting device too when they start with the scene from the previous episode or previous film. Can be really effective. In this case, of course it is.
Yeah.
Remember, this was so sick as a kid because genuinely did not know Gandalf's fate at the time. So it was like you literally thought he was gone. Yeah, he was gone. So this was amazing to see. Yeah. And that's like what? Halfway through.
That's like a majority of their journey in Return of the King. Which I think makes more sense time-wise. That's happening during Helm's Deep.
I watched when watching A Fellowship of the Ring again, I took some time again to dive into the behind the scenes and stuff and watch some really cool different commentaries on the themes and throughout, and watched one really, really great video on specifically why The Fellowship of the Ring is a perfect film, even outside of the trilogy, even just as a film itself, and how Jackson's version of the trilogy of The Lord of the Rings, his telling of the story, was all about the ring. Whereas Tolkien's version of it was much more all encompassed through the characters. Not to say that Jackson's version doesn't relish and embrace the characters, but like for example, in Jackson's intro to The Fellowship of the ring is mentioned like 14 times in that entire opening monologue.
Yeah,
and there's a scene as well in The Return of the King that was changed at the very end. And I think I started mentioning this at the Black Gate, that was changed intentionally for Jackson's vision. That really kind of changes the whole thing. And there was so much that he did to embody Tolkien in his work, but at the same time, it's such a beautiful representation of his own interpretation of the film and the story that he wanted to tell. So
I thought maybe if we was having a roast chicken one night or something. Roast chicken?
That's great. It's like gets pulled over Frodo cop right here. What's in this? Nothing. Just some seasoning.
Yeah. Well, we're on the road. It's hard to come by seasonings.
Yep. This is such a great character moment for Sam too.
Are these seasonings from Lothlorien as well, or no?
I think they're from the Shire.
Yeah.
I think they're from.
Well, that's sentimental value.
Yeah,
it's important.
I like the fact that we're given a little bit of time with them before Sméagol and Gollum. I get that it gets to the point a little bit quicker, and it introduces us to arguably one of the most important characters in the entire trilogy. But like to have a moment with Sam and Frodo like this after leaving the Fellowship, I think before jumping into Gollum is It's I think it's a big moment for the movie as a whole. So
there's nothing for it.
And as much as I don't necessarily like fault Elijah Wood's performance, like he is Frodo. I don't necessarily agree with all of his choices as the character, I think, but even Elijah Wood to me is always Frodo.
A specific example?
I think that there are times where, and I think it's just more of him, not even, I think maybe misspoke when it comes to like his choices, but there are times where, and this is the common like argument when people talk about why like Frodo's not a favorite character of theirs, is he comes across as almost like a little bit of a wuss. Some of like the faces that he makes, like when he gets stabbed in Moria by the cave troll and he like makes the I'm shitting myself face, like that's still a meme, a GIF meme till this day.
I mean, but you get stabbed by a cave troll.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Like, but to me, no one else is Frodo outside of Elijah Wood. But yeah, there's a reason why he's not my favorite character, I guess.
Because we've been here before.
I also did want to make a quick note too, for the Blu-ray editions and for the HBO editions, they changed the whole color grade. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Of the film. So a lot of people were actually very upset by it.
Oh,
yeah, they completely, you should look this up. It's real. It changes the whole mood in some scenes completely. There's people that put together like side by sides, and it's done in like a 3 or 4 minute video. Yeah. But there's this guy who he's like a professional editor. He does movies himself. And what he did was he took the original, the Blu-ray version, and then he made his own like seamless cut in between them. Okay. Amazing.
Yeah. I can see where.
Oh yeah.
This was a lot of our conversation of like, was that necessary? And I feel like, again, like why did they cut that scene? I can see where like you don't need all of that back and forth. You already get that Sam doesn't like Sméagol, or Gollum, and Gollum doesn't like Sam. So like, that's already sort of addressed, and we've already seen Mordor.
Right.
We already know. And it almost makes it worse, I think, when you get to Return of the King, because you've sort of seen it, but you haven't really understood the barrenness of that land. So, I can see why they cut that. I don't know that that was necessary.
Yeah,
it's fun. Like I love seeing more back and forth between Gollum and Frodo and Sam. But
I think like looking to where they wanted to cut this down for the cinema release, I could see why cutting that 1.5 minutes or whatever of that scene, adds to the efficiency of the movie. Yeah. But I think that like why it made its way into this cut is, I think that for one, we've seen this circular path, this circular maze that Frodo and Sam have been since the start of the movie, and how quickly and easily Gollum and Smeagol get him out. Like, did you like they instantly they had daybreak and a break from. So I think what it does is, one, it really solidifies Gollum and Smeagol's knowledge of the area and how much of an asset he's going to be. But it also does give right away, even despite Frodo showing the sympathy immediately, you get right away the sort of like the re-acknowledgement right away of like, this is a very complex creature right from the start. Like, yes, we see Gollum and Smeagol crawling down from the rock.
Yeah. Well,
but at the same, like, seeing that be re-instigated so quickly, even after Frodo showed the sympathy, just re-hammers home the fact, like, yes, he got them out of the area that they were stuck in for days so quickly, but at the same time, it's like, this is a very, very, very complicated creature, and we are just getting the start of it. He looks like shit. He looks like fucking shit.
I feel like it'd be a lot harder to run with your axe in your hand.
Yeah. Also, just 3 days straight of running. My God. Imagine Howard Shore producing that beautiful piece and having to wait until the second movie for that banger to drop, dude.
Yeah.
Like the Rohan.
All the Rohan music is so good.
Yep.
Can you imagine even just like shooting this scene right here would be so much fun. Just to get to go to New Zealand for 9 months and shoot an awesome trilogy of films and
not including reshoots and I mean, like, this was probably a full filming day for them. No, probably a full filming week, honestly. They probably filmed different moments of the running stuff and the landscapes, and this was without a doubt 3 or 4 days of filming. Like, no question.
Yeah. I mean, the whole scene with like, because they have more. I mean, the whole scene with the horses when they're surrounded by the horses. They search the body, like all that. That alone was probably 2 days.
Oh yeah, although absolutely. I mean, yeah.
Taking the hobbits to Isengard, to Isengard, to Isengard. Taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Whoever dropped that banger was brilliant. Was absolutely brilliant. Have you seen the 10-hour version of that?
No, I have. Why is there 10-hour version?
Because
nobody needs that. Does anybody need that? No,
I don't know.
I guess that it just needs to exist. Like, the fact that it exists is what is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Yeah, nowadays with YouTube and AdSense and all that stuff, I wish I would have got to that idea first. Make a pretty penny on just looping that.
Maybe
thousands of times. Saruman. Whom do you serve? Saruman.
It's so sad. They totally destroyed that whole place.
I know. So many beautiful people. He's gonna pay his price, though. I think Saruman's a little wuss.
Together, the forest of Fangorn lies on.
The one of my brother's very good friends, he always quotes that line. He'll just like anytime we would be like out for dinner or something, he'd be getting tired and we're like talking about the next thing to do. He's always goes, but we don't have enough fuel to feed the fire. Like, that's his go-to. It's so funny.
That's interesting because I think that is an extended clip.
Yeah. He's a huge fan of these movies too.
So he would know.
Oddly enough, Brandon, if you're watching, I love you, buddy. But it's that line, we don't have enough fuel to feed the fire. And then the scene in the third one where there's just this brief shot of the armies like running into battle, and it's just this guy on horseback, just super intense, holding this like tiny axe, and he's just like this. And I know. Those are oddly, out of everything, those are the two moments that he quotes and talks about the most. And I just love these movies for that too, because it's like, what other movie can you talk about two very irrelevant single shots that just like carry so much weight?
Yeah.
White has ever been our friend and ally.
So that's Brad Dourif, and he is actually one of my favorite actors.
Oh yeah. Brad
Dourif plays Grima Wormtongue. So my favorite television series of all time is The X-Files.
Oh, okay.
Went on for nine seasons and then was eventually revived in like 2016, 2017. Came on for a couple of more years. And Brad Dourif plays a character in the first season in one of the first kind of really big episodes, and gives this I'm not even kidding. It's probably one of the best performances I've ever seen on a television show. This role does not do him justice for his emotional range that he can display. It does a great job of showing like his nastiness, and the color grading here is phenomenal.
They make him look so gross.
He's so gross.
I think if you see him in like even in his IMDb photos, I'm like, oh, you look so different.
Yeah.
Like, you don't look like just the creepiest dude in the world. Where you're like, oh, you're actually like a good looking guy, but you see this, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. But so I saw him in that, and then I saw him in another smaller movie at one point in time, and I was like, this actor is one of just the most outstanding performers that I've seen, just in terms of just baseline acting ability, not in terms of like look or physical acting necessarily, but just in terms of like displaying and making an audience feel something just based on a character's and an actor's performance.
Yeah.
Literally one of the most outstanding character performances I've ever seen was in season 1, episode 13 of The X-Files, called Beyond the Sea. And his performance as a particular character, he plays like this psychic who was essentially a serial murderer, but he's a psychic, and he doesn't want to go to death row. And he has this interaction with the main actors, essentially, in the series. And just this performance literally gives any actor chills. Like, there's no way that it can't. It's just absolutely outstanding.
Cool.
So Brad Dourif, much love. I know that he demands a lot of money for whatever he does, but to me, he's worth it.
Yeah.
He's unreal. So Brad Dourif, cheers to you if you're watching. Carl Urban has come a long way in acting, though. Like,
yeah,
I love the fact that we got to see him in like a more principal role.
Yeah,
like where he's got more. Never really knew what.
Like, let's just say they
run as
if the very whips of their masters were behind them.
Yeah,
that's so fast. They run as if the very whips of their masters were behind them.
Like how much?
They run as if the very whips of their masters were behind them.
How much practice do you think Orlando Bloom did in his trailer?
Twister. I might use that for Warmouse. They run as if the very whips of their masters were still behind them.
Like, Orlando Bloom was definitely in his trailer, like up at like 4 a.m. that morning, just pounding. Because that was probably the only line Orlando Bloom had that day. Like, to play Legolas in this series.
The more you watch this, the more you're like, man, Legolas doesn't have a lot of lines.
Yeah, Legolas had it easy. Like, Legolas just had to look badass.
Yeah.
Occasionally deliver a line, and look like a femboy, look like an elf, like a beautiful, majestic yet strong,
youthful, timeless.
Yes, youthful, timeless. But like, yeah, like bordering the lines of like strong but soft. Like, just had to absolutely nail that, and then nail your one, maybe two lines that you had that day.
Yeah.
That.
What about them?
The fresh. What about the legs? They don't need those. Dude,
I'm curious. Like he almost. I wonder if he did like bird animal work just to get that. Like, that whole like the way he moves his head is very bird like.
Yeah. What about the legs? But but even just like how he like. What about the legs?
Yeah.
I don't need those.
You don't.
It's great. I would
So
love
good.
to. I would love to play an orc, dude.
Yeah.
Like that would be freaking sick. Freaking sick.
They think we have the ring.
You know what I think is different about like in the Fellowship, I feel like there were big scenes that were cut. Whereas so far in the Two Towers, I feel like it's
just many moments, right?
Moments within scenes that were trimmed that weren't necessary. Like they were like, oh, we can tighten that, we can tighten that, we can tighten that.
Yeah.
Where, there hasn't really been like whole scenes that have been cut. Like there's
Right.
that scene with the seasoning and falling down the cliff at the
Yeah.
beginning. But other than that, it's like we're cutting out moments here and there that
Right.
really add up.
Even that, I would say like in this one and then going forward into the next one, it's more that like scenes are extended in these. Like it takes a scene and they were blossomed out, more fleshed out, which I guess makes a lot of sense because in the first one, like if it's the first movie that you're introducing an audience to, you do have more control to like say, okay, you know what's discussed in this scene is ultimately not 99.9% important to the end goal, to the main story that we're telling here and that we want to show on screen. But as you progress further along into the movies, if you have all of this stuff filmed, it like all of it is made with the intention that the entire first movie was that extended cut essentially was delivered to the audience because that was what was all in script. So it does make sense that there might be little things that you can parse and piece out of these.
Well, and I wonder too if because they're putting so much content from the books into the film.
Yeah.
Where like they've already cut so much just to be able to tell a story in 3 hours.
Right.
So then to go, how do we cut this down more? It does feel like every scene is still really important. So now it's like, well, we can't cut that whole scene, but we can cut the bit where Wormtongue says the king signed it tonight because that doesn't matter. We don't need that extra bit. We can cut that scene where they're looking for the prince because
and
they find him and we don't really get a ton of information. So like I can see where they're like flipping or like we know that Frodo that they don't have the ring. We know Frodo has it. We know why Saruman wants the ring or wants the hobbits. So we don't need to know this little bit. You know?
Right. That honestly is a savage line though to Gimli. Like, I would cut your head clean off if your head stood but a little higher from the ground.
We're also starting to see that like Legolas and Gimli are like friends.
That's the first real moment where there's like actual
where there's not like animosity.
Right. Yeah. We start to see it a little bit towards the end of the Fellowship.
Well, there's not animosity towards the end, but we don't see them as like buddy.
Yeah.
I'm Aragorn, son of Aragorn.
Only children to your eyes.
You know that John Rhys Davis is also like 6'3". Like
Yeah,
he's
huge
like
dude.
6'4".
Yeah.
How they manage to film these scenes where he appears to essentially be
I think
4
he's on
foot
his
10.
knees most of the time.
Yeah, but like how they pulled that off so consistently is just no small feat.
Mm-hmm. Do you know he broke his toe? Did you know that? Dude, he broke his toe.
And of course they use that cut. Of course they use that shot because it was real. And then imagine having to like then bend your feet immediately to then kneel down.
Yeah.
Oh God. But Vigo is a boss, and you know, that's just the way it was supposed to be. So that's how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
The pacing is also incredible. Like it's been a while since we've been with these two.
Yeah, just enough time for me to go, I wonder how Frodo and Sam are
Right,
doing.
right.
And then they cut to them.
Right. Like Jackson very clearly had that in mind.
Oh yeah.
And
it was
right,
very well done.
Right when you're anxious for a change in scenery, boom, there it is. So, but this
That's
is
a pretty
like,
big scene.
Yeah, this is such a big scene. Are you sure this was cut?
Yeah. The part where he swallows the worm and he tastes the bread and that interaction with them, I'm very confident that it's not in the theatrical release.
Because this is
I'm
like,
sure it's only the in-extended version.
Yeah, because that's absolutely huge for like understanding Frodo's sympathy towards Smeagol. And like clearly that sympathy is what gets him ultimately in a lot of trouble later on.
Yeah,
And
but I
that's
think you see that sympathy later on too. I think you see it more later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I see it like again, it's one of those scenes that's like it's a good scene, it's well written, it communicates a lot about Smeagol
right
and Frodo and where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's not something that we don't get in other scenes.
Sure.
I mean, even Frodo has already said, now that I see him, I do pity him.
Right.
We already see that. Like, yes, this solidifies that more,
Right.
but it's nothing like new.
Right. But isn't it interesting too, like how we're talking about that inefficiency for movies, but for like a standard hour and 40-minute long movie. But really, this is like it's essentially an 11-hour epic. So it is interesting how these conversations differ. Like, yes, in a normal hour and a half long movie, for Frodo to say that single line is all the efficiency you need. But with a movie like this, you're given an opportunity to like have multiple scenes to dive into something.
Done as a 10-episode TV show, this scene probably still would have been.
Right. This was The Witcher. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I just noticed Aragorn's greaves that he had
from Boromir. Yeah.
I didn't realize that when we watched The Fellowship together, that was the first time I realized he takes
them and puts them
the
on.
greaves. Yes, I just thought he was always like relacing them up, but he takes them. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And also like how they used Christopher Lee's voice for this.
And they blend it together. Yeah,
so good.
Really good. So freaking good. Yeah. And so is the idea that Gandalf becomes Gandalf the White, is it that like this idea of like when Saruman turned sides, like the white, the good, the pure good needed a place to go. Yeah,
and
like he is no longer the White Wizard. So
right.
Someone else must be chosen. So I think he's given some of Saruman's power.
Yes.
Or Saruman's power is coming now from Sauron, not whatever Force gave him power before.
Yes.
Too young, from the lowest dungeon to the highest.
The way that Aragorn says that line, "You fell," like it's just so good. It literally takes my breath away. Like he's so good at like giving out these like very emotional but like strong and like I don't know. It's just so good how that comes out. It almost like comes out halfway before he just is out of breath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's so good at that.
Yeah, it's great.
New Gandalf's more grumpy than the old one.
I feel like, yeah, I really feel like this film took those humor beats, particularly through Gimli, very, very well. Whereas in the first one,
a lot more jokes for Gimli.
Yeah, the first one was very lighthearted in the first half because of Hobbiton and the Shire, and so it was very Merry Pippin centric in the initial, and then Sam, and very lighthearted and through Bilbo. But then it got dark, and then because it was a film that had a lot of lightheartedness in the beginning, they had to stick on that dark side when it went dark. So then, when now all of a sudden that we're the second movie in, you get these more moments, like with particularly Gimli is used quite honestly as a plot device for the humor.
I would say Gimli and Legolas are more so in this film and possibly the next film, both in Merry and Pippin, because Merry and Pippin's journey now becomes much darker.
Right.
Especially Pip. I mean, again, they're separated in the third one. And not that they don't have moments of lightheartedness, but I would say most of that happens in the Fellowship, and afterwards their journey becomes much more serious. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
and it's fun to see even more of that. I think they cut a lot of that, the banter.
Yes,
and got more to like, okay,
yeah,
what does this scene need?
Yeah, right. Yeah, this extended edition was much more about what does this scene absolutely need. Man, imagine being on a little camping trip.
This scene, I'm pretty sure is.
With Gimli, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gandalf. Like that would be dope, man. I do feel like part of this is extended, but is this where he says his line? There's an allegiance now between the two towers. I think this is where it comes from.
The veiling shadow that glowers in the east takes shape. Sauron will suffer no rival.
Toby. Did you hear that?
Look at that separate. Do you think that's like a foreshadowing shot there? That was pretty actually cool. I've never noticed that in this, like where Pippin's over here and Merry's over there. I mean, you could kind of even like draw in a parallel to like Minas Tirith and this like guarded palace of like purity and the plains of Rohan over there. Kind of cool. Because it does imply like it's like this visual image of the separation that they're gonna have. Kind of cool. I've never noticed that before. That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know how intentional it was, but yeah, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, because why didn't they just frame that in the two shot?
I mean, you could say that they just want to make them look like they're more in a dense forest, so they put a tree right in the foreground.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Appreciate the metaphor. That wouldn't be my guess, but you know,
either way. I just thought that was a really cool shot.
Cool. It's cool. I like it. It was a really cool shot. And I think that's what's cool about film is you can read into it what you want. Like maybe that was the intention.
Yeah, Gandalf the Grey.
Yes. Yeah.
Front row tickets to Gandalf's OnlyFans right here.
I guess if that's good.
Sick.
That's such a cool like cut.
Yeah.
To communicate
exactly what.
Expelling of.
Yeah. sometimes the movie is really on the nose with the themes, like the fallen Rohan flag falling directly on.
That was an accident.
Yeah, no, I know about that.
Or at least it ripping off.
Right. And then right. But
I mean, that's type of cut, like you have this like magic battle that's going on, but it's real simple.
Really simple. Yeah.
You're not doing anything like crazy CG.
Right. Yeah. And it just works really well. It's very physical, but it's direct and it works.
Yeah.
Did not look for it in a ranger from the north.
Well, I'll be
if I ever did see a man tame a horse.
The man tame a horse. We're talking all Elvish.
Oh.
Talking Elvish. Some people talk dirty to me, others talk Elvish. I go for the Elvish.
Talk that horse and we'll get along.
We'll get along real nice.
You speak as one of their own.
That's really like.
You know how he falls off the cliff road? I always thought it was his horse in that scene that they found him, but it's Bregel that finds him after being set free.
Bregel. No, there's no R. It's just Bregel. Like Eggo waffles.
Like Eggo.
Bregel.
Eggo? You say Eggo waffles? Not
No,
Eggo waffles?
I say Eggo waffles, but it's Bregel. Like Eggo. There's no Egor.
Bregor.
Bregor. My horse. God, why is he like so sexy? You know what I'm saying? Like, man.
It's that swagger.
Yeah, baby.
I feel like I always forget about the Warg Rider fight.
Yeah.
Helm's Deep is like glory.
Yeah. It's a pretty solid fight. I mean, Helm's Deep is like the greatest like 40 minutes of cinema.
It's
like,
pretty
ever.
fantastic.
Call them names.
Isn't it so interesting too, the idea of like of the actors Elijah Wood and Sean Astin, like they essentially spent what, like 85 to 90% of their time just filming together. Like, sure, they started filming of the entire series with all the Hobbit stuff at the start of Fellowship. So they had a good time of bonding and fellowship. But like Mortensen and Bloom and Davies and McKellen got to spend their time with so many different diverse parts of the cast. But really, Elijah Wood and Sean Astin, like it was basically the two of them and Peter Jackson for a majority of the filming.
For a lot of it.
Right, for all their stuff. Yeah, it's just like it is just crazy to me. Like, you know, watching this movie, you see it all as one thing, one world. But really, as the actor, it was a very, very different experience filming this trilogy for Elijah Wood and Sean Astin than it was everybody else.
I'm curious if they had more than one team.
Sure, they did, especially on the days where, like, for example, like the days where they had all those extras and stuff on horses and the Rohan planes. That's definitely true. Like a B and maybe even a C team out there filming some of the B-roll stuff and some of the wide angle stuff. And then, they probably had Jackson and the A team filming with Wood and Astin at some point on one of the sets or whatever. For sure.
Yeah. Know about it. Nothing.
And here's anger, but it's anger out of fear because Frodo he sees Gollum. And
it's that disconnect.
Right.
I don't know why I said that. I do. Look. It's an Oliphant.
Like, come on. Sauron's just like over in Mordor. Yes. Bring the elephants to me. David Wenham has gone on to have a pretty successful career. He was just in the Elvis movie, actually.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It's actually, it's really something.
We've lingered here too long.
Come on, Sam.
It sucks that they have to leave their stew behind.
I know. They never get to eat the bracicones.
I know. Okay, so I believe that is where the first disc of the extended version ends. So
I think it is.
Yes, that is where we are going to cut this first part of our reaction.
But we'll be back with part 2. So stay tuned. I hope you're enjoying watching the Two Towers with us. We are having a blast revisiting the extended version, talking a lot about why they kept certain scenes, why they didn't. And just having a lot of fun. So
yeah, it's even been interesting, like comparing front and back, like Fellowship of the Ring extended versus this one. How some of the scenes were changed or manipulated, or
and it's fun just to be able to talk about it and see like your perspective and things that stand out to you. And hope we're saying things that are interesting to you all as well. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. We'd love to hear your insights and thoughts and any fun behind the scenes info that you would add to the conversation. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything else. And hey, if you want, you can also go check us out on Twitch. We go live every day, so go visit us there and give us a follow. And as you know, Zach and I are both actors, and we actually have a really exciting project coming up, and it's actually going to help us out a lot if you can follow our Instagram. So go check out the links in the description down below.
Please do.
It's gonna help us out. So
big time. And also like let us know any of your OG memories back in the day of this movie, or just your thoughts on the Two Towers as a whole, because any thoughts or discussions on this trilogy are always warmly accepted in the chat. And with that being said, I think we will see you next time for part 2
on Chicago Reacts
Movies and TV.